So, what is a myth? There's no one definition, but one that will work well as a departure point for our class conversations in English 245 this semester is that a myth is an accepted belief unsubstantiated by fact. For example, the belief that professors are absent-minded is unsubstantiated by fact. So it's a myth. Wait a second. Where are my glasses? If only I could remember where I put them. Okay, so like I was saying, it is a myth that professors are absent-minded. Or is it? But that's not exactly the type of myths that we're exploring this semester. To narrow it down, let's take a look at the etymology of the English word myth. It's derived from the Greek word mythos, which can be translated as story. Specifically, the types of stories we will call myths in English 245 are the stories of the gods and goddesses of religions in which almost all of us do not believe. Who knows? Some of you may be, for example, neo-pagans who worship Odin and Thor, in which case, what almost all of us would call a myth about the Azir, you would call your religion, which is one reason why we need to treat these stories with respect. In the West, we have tended to classify religious stories that are neither Jewish nor Christian as myths. However, we need to recognize that there are literally millions of modern Americans who would consider the stories associated with the Jewish and Christian religions to be myths. That includes not only people who do believe in religions that are neither Jewish nor Christian, but also people who do not believe in a religion, the so-called nones, who make up more than 20% of Americans today. But if I say myth and you say religion, let's not call the whole thing off. I'm confident that as long as we all remember to treat with respect the stories that our classmates might happen to believe to be true, we will be able to get along this semester. And one of the first signs of that respect on our parts is that we have enrolled in this particular class, which shows we all acknowledge that these stories are worth the investment of our time to read and to understand. And what will we understand after our semester spent reading world mythology as literature? My hope is that we will find evidence, that is, fact, in these stories to substantiate a trio of related beliefs that I have come to hold about mythology. I believe we'll notice that while the answers that particular people in particular places have come up with have differences, the questions that they have attempted to answer in their respective myths have similarities. I believe that these myths then reveal the most common questions asked by all people all around the world. And I believe that they are universal human stories, ones whose differences can tell us a lot about the values of the cultures that created them. Indeed, one of the reasons societies tend to preserve their myths is because they are crucial to the survival of their respective cultures. To organize our early reading of world mythology as literature, we'll use the classification system that Donna Rosenberg introduces in our required textbook, World Mythology, an Anthology of the Great Myths and Legends. Rosenberg classifies almost all myths as belonging to one of three categories: creation myths, fertility myths, and hero myths. In Rosenberg's analysis, the purpose of both creation myths and fertility myths is to explain the nature of the universe, while the purpose of hero myths is to provide models for virtuous behavior. To start this semester, we'll spend about 2 weeks reading creation myths, about 2 weeks reading fertility myths, and about 2 weeks reading hero myths. My plan is to post at least one video on each of these three categories of myths, starting with 2 on creation myths.